Giants rookie minicamp beginning later this week. They traded up back into the first round for a quarterback, Jaxson Dart, out of Ole Miss. But how long will it take before we actually see him on the field? It's a pretty crowded quarterback's room in New York. Take a look at where they are as of now. Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson are there, along with Tommy DeVito, who they brought back. Out are Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and Tim Boyle. Let's get former Giants quarterback and draft pick Danny Kanell in here. Danny, we heard from Joe Schoen yesterday, and he said, quote, he's got the makings of a good quarterback, but there's a long way to go. There's a developmental process he's going to have to go through, and these offenses are not easy to learn. What does that tell you about the Giants' plan for developing Jaxson Dart over the next weeks, months, and maybe even years?
I think they're going to be very patient with Jaxson Dart. And I think that was evidenced by not only signing one, but two veteran quarterbacks, Chris, and Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. And we'll see, whether, they keep both of those and they keep all three on the roster, but they're going to want to get a look. But, I've seen these clips out there with Jaxson Dart in the John Gruden QB camp. And did you see where he was doing the clap? Like, that was his cadence, and John Gruden was in disbelief. He's like, you didn't even say anything at the line of scrimmage? Like, there's a lot of verbiage in an NFL playbook, and for Jaxson Dart playing in a system where Lane Kiffin has you a lot of signals, a lot of shorter terminology that's pretty quick, and that makes a lot of sense because in college it's not your full-time job, that all of a sudden you're going in with a very wordy playbook, and it takes time. You're playing under center more than a lot of these college systems are running. So it's a process, and I also think that the Giants front office understands that the expectations of a first-round quarterback can often exceed reality. And I think they want to make sure and take every precaution to make sure they don't throw out Jaxson Dart early to the wolves, so to speak, or else that could derail his development and, fan perception, all of those things that go into making a franchise quarterback. So I have a hunch the Giants are going to be pretty patient. I know some people believe, hey, coach is on the hot seat, Joe Schoen's on the hot seat, Brian Daboll. Like, is there a tendency to throw him out there early to try to salvage the season? That is the one thing that makes me wildly nervous because that does oftentimes makes you impatient. But I think the game plan going into the season is to wait with Jaxson Dart.
So what do you think the learning curve is for Jaxson Dart trying to learn not only a new offense, but a new way of going about everything pre-snap? When you're just doing that, and now you've got, you've never said Omaha, hut, go. Where do you start?
Or you've never said ace right, trips, flip it, wing opposite, Q hot Louie, half 17, wing and Y out. Like, that is just a simple play call. And you're used to, like, the same play when I had it would have been like right gun, Y stick. Like, that would have been it. Like, that was pretty much the terminology that I had at Florida State. And then all of a sudden you're having this whole mouthful of words, that you have to execute. And you have to learn, not only do you have to learn the language, but you have to be able to process it and understand what it takes. That's why I'm always amazed at rookies that come in right away and they have success from the get-go, because it is so much, not only mentally what you're thinking about and you're trying to consume, but then going and processing the information and executing on the field. It is a very complex process. And I think, we've been really spoiled with C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels and some of these quarterbacks coming out as rookies and just thriving. That is not the norm. The norm is what we've seen with Bryce Young or Caleb Williams, where it's a little bit more of a bumpy ride because you can tell they're still thinking. And that's when you want to get to, is when you don't have to think every player, where you know the language and you know the process and you don't have to think so much. That, to me, is what Jaxson Dart's going to have to go through, is becoming comfortable with the language of the New York Giants and then becoming comfortable executing the offense.
Dart was one of 5 quarterbacks drafted in the first 4 rounds of this year's draft. Which rookie quarterback, Danny, not named Cam Ward, is going to be the first to start an NFL game?
Yeah, Cam Ward's the obvious one. I thought about Jaxson Dart, but the fact they have 2 vets in front of them, I do think that might be coming on the back end of the season. I thought about Will Howard with the Steelers potentially, but I look at their win total, it's 8.5. I think Mason Rudolph or, of course, Aaron Rodgers, that still lingers out there. So I came up with Tyler Shuck, the second-round pick going to New Orleans for a few different reasons. One, we know Derek Carr is coming off this shoulder injury, which is still kind of unclear. They've reworked his contract. I feel like Derek Carr's days are numbered in New Orleans. They take Tyler Shuck in the second round, who really is somebody who hasn't played a ton of college football, as all the upside, has the physical skills that we'd look for, but he hasn't stayed healthy. And I think this is about the future, Chris. I think they need to make a decision on Tyler Shuck sooner rather than later, because of the Arch Manning sweepstakes that are looming out there. I mean, he is predicted to be the #1 overall quarterback in the class next year. He's at the top of everybody's 2026 quarterback class. We don't even know if he's coming out. But if he is available and you're the Saints, they would love to have a crack at him. Think about it, him playing where his grandfather Archie played, like his namesake. That would be an unbelievable situation. So I do feel like the Saints might be forced into a situation with Kellen Moore, new regime taking over. They want to decide who is the future at quarterback, not the now, because that could be Derek Carr, but they want to know, what does the future look like? So I have a feeling that it could be Tyler Shuck with the Saints. Their win total 6.5. I don't think they're going to be very good. So you kind of go out there, make a switch, and see if Tyler Shuck is your future or not, and then you can maybe have a chance at Arch Manning down the road.